Live from Chicago, it's Chris Sells His Soul. I'm your host, Chris Bogue, and this is my show on LinkedIn Live, where I have conversations with cool people who will help you work more creatively. Today, my guest is Robert Jones. Robert,
What's
welcome
up,
to the
Chris?
podcast. Hey, welcome.
I always thought that was pre-recorded. I'm floored. I did not know you were musical, but that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Oh, no, it says no audio playing. Well,
It was scarier without the audio, so maybe we could play it again later. I'm sure everyone has seen the sketch. It was fantastic, one of your best works. But yeah, no audio made it super scary.
okay, well, I hope we didn't just lose half our audience. But hello, Robert. Welcome to the show.
Great
And
to be
welcome
here.
everybody in the comments. I see a lot of activity already. We got Florence, we got Ben, we got Tom, Nick, Virginia, Lydia. So everybody, if you are here today in the comments, please say hello. Throw any questions you have to Robert and I in the comments. That's the only way we know you're here. And Robert, why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself to my audience and let them know where they can find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me in Jackson area of Mississippi. I am the sales director at Rev Partners, so you can find me there. I have a TikTok. It's not nearly as popular as Chris Sells Soul at all, but I do dabble on there, looking to get more into that. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And if anyone in the audience is unfamiliar with me, my name is Chris Bogue. I'm an entrepreneur and a comedian, and I train people to get on video. Specifically, I coach them how to make mercifully short video that drives revenue for sales and marketing. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Look for Chris Bogue and ring my bell so you can get updates from me every day. I post comedy all the time. I posted a horror movie this week. So much content every day. And you can find me on TikTok at Chris Sells His Soul. So today's episode is called Weirdly Professional. And Robert, you had something on your mind.
I just really feel like I missed an opportunity to say you can find me on the block disobeying the law. So I want to apologize for not using that. And my wife, who's probably watching, is thinking I should have said that. So
Wait,
that was
where can we find you?
the Akon song from when late 2000s. You can find me on the block disobey. She's going to mention that to me later, so I wanted to throw her a shout out.
Okay, glad you mentioned it. Well, I want to get jump in here right away because you are on this show today because you are a silly man who makes silly videos for business. And if anyone doesn't know, I'm a huge fan of that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your character, the mayor of Inbound? Who is he? What does he do? How did you come up with this character?
I want to give a shout out to Social Anxiety After the Pandemic and the co-founder of Rev Partners, Matt Bolian, who told me to. We're going to be known at Inbound. This was our first year to go as a company. We've been around for 2 years. I got to go. It was an awesome experience. But up front, the directive, if you will, was like be loud, be bombastic, be known. Because these people, we were the fastest hearing HubSpot elite solutions partner ever, and we never even met anybody in person, and that was just reflective of how fast we moved and really the pandemic. So I was like, you know what, all of this to me can be stiff. I've never been to a conference of this size. How do I mitigate that? I went on Amazon. The only suit, I can show you the tag, but the only suit that was big enough to fit me, a pretty large guy, was made by a company called You Look Ugly Today. So I was like, you know what, damn it, maybe I will. Bought it. It actually cost more to have it tailored than the suit cost to purchase. So I wore it. After the very first day, the CEO said, you have to wear that, the rest of the time you're here. So a lot of cleaning, a lot of Lysol, Febreze throughout the conference, but I wore it every day. I had tons of people come up and just say like, who is this? I would, say I'm doubled as a traffic cone out in the parking lot on my break. A lot of, funny responses, but it kind of became a thing. I had a lot of people. Kyle Jepsen, there was a whole bit about him having the most selfies at Inbound, and I kind of challenged him to that. So the suit was a persona that I used, number one, to kind of declare who Rev Partners was there and use it kind of as a personal brand, but really more of, if I wear this, then the interactions I'm going to get won't be, as anxiety inducing up front, considering I haven't done anything like this in 5 years.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So, audience, please weigh in on this. Have you been to in-person networking events anytime recently? Because oddly enough, I went to a convention once in character as well, and I went as Vague Man. I got hired to do a bit in person at a convention, and yeah, on the one hand, I kind of felt like a huge tool. Walking around with like a big orange cape on and like saying vague things to people as I interview them. But at least it gives you something to do. And it like draws a crowd. And yeah, I don't know if like networking is awkward for people, but it's like when you come in with something fun, people can kind of gravitate around it because I don't think they know what to do. I don't think most people feel comfortable like 99% of the day. So if you just show up doing anything fun, people just want to get into it.
I mean, so I can speak to that, Chris. I brought a mic prop. It's not. It was about the awkwardness potentially. It was about the anxiety, but it was about everyone that I've ever gone to. It's a booth and a booth and a booth, and they have this logo and this display, and it's the same swag, and it's the same. It's replicated throughout the convention center. So how do you stand out in a sea of people that are doing the same thing? That was what it was about. And people literally, somebody told me like, I just want you to know that we were looking for our booth, and somebody said, do you see that guy in the damn orange fluorescent? We're right behind him. So it was like a beacon. It was the anxiety portion. It was standing out. I also want to point out that following this, Will Allred and the Lavender team at SaaStr in San Francisco all dressed like wizards. So there's almost an element to kind of deformalize conferences by treating them like was it not RevCon but Comic-Con, and not going to that extent necessarily, but like they stood out. They were the talk of the whole conference.
Yes, this is the thing that people don't get. They see, me doing comedy, and they're like, "Well, we're a serious brand," and it's like, yeah. The people who adopt your solutions aren't serious all the time. They, they are looking for fun, and like, the way I look at it is like we are in an attention economy, and I didn't make the rules. I didn't even plan to start doing comedy again. I just noticed that it works so well for business that I can't stop.
It's stressful. I mean, this is a stressful, like sales, B2B sales, it's stressful. So I feel like people appreciate that, and you leaning into that as well as standing out. I mean, if you're on LinkedIn at all, and I see you responding to a ton of stuff, it's like how to stand out in somebody's inbox, how to stand out to a LinkedIn request, if you're in person, it should be the same principles apply. Like if you're making content, the same principles of standing out to get a shot, like that's the goal, right? Is to have a meeting. So if they see this idiot in an orange suit and I start talking to them, hopefully they're like, oh, he's a pretty smart guy. It's not just like some bit or some skit or whatever. This person actually knows what they're talking about. And I feel the same way about you. I feel like, yeah, some of the stuff is funny, but once you have a conversation about how do I sell on video, their minds are blown.
Yeah, well, hey, Fiona mentions here too that the jester has always had a powerful role, and yes, the jester is the person that's allowed to tell the truth and not get killed by the king. And people are like, why is he able to get away with that? It's because if you're fun and you're actually connecting with people, that endears you to them, And I feel like sales is so calculated. There's so much pressure. And for me, the comedy, and even the not comedy, even just like the way I promote my services and stuff like that, is like I always want to have something to offer people that is not pressure. And the comedy, the entertainment, the education, the more you blend those together, you can really get, interesting and playful. But it's got to be something other than just like wearing people down until they take a meeting with your sales rep so they can buy your product. It's just it's so much easier to avoid that than it ever was. At least I think.
I mean, everything you just said comes back to we live in an economy of attention. So if you're not grabbing and retaining to at least some extent people's attention, then you're not going to be able to sell to them. You see that with, the whole outbound cold calling is dead argument and all of this. It's not, but done poorly it is, just like everything else. So inbound done poorly is dead. Video done poorly has been dead. There's other ways to think about it that I think you really offer a unique, and I mean, frankly, I've seen some of the stuff you do. It's fantastic. The way that I met Chris was I'm a content dabbler. I don't know about creator yet. I make some stuff, but it's kind of, two times a week or whatnot, some videos. They're all ridiculous if you haven't seen them. And so Chris commented on a video and said, he slid into my DMs. He was like, hey, I think you're great. It was like a 15-second video, used my name, referenced the stuff. So it was personalized, met with him. Long story short, wasn't the fit at the time, right? Timing, what was off. But he has stayed on to give advice and to be a champion of mine as I grow and develop it as a content creator. And so with that, he has built an evangelist of Chris Bogue. That's the importance of community on LinkedIn. It's the importance of HubSpot, I'm repping the orange, but community building, even if somebody's not a fit after you catch their attention, is just wildly important and not talked about enough, period.
Thank you. Well, that is so kind of you. The second half of our show is going to be all about how can people get started? How can they get over these feelings of self-doubt and actually get out there and do it themselves? We are going to try. I know we had some sound problems earlier, so commenters, I'm going to run our commercial before Gimme Gimme. Chris Sells His Soul is brought to you by our sponsors, and we're going to hear from them right now. If you're having audio problems, again, let me know. Drop it in the chat, and we'll stop it. But Robert, are you ready for Gimme Gimme?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So here we go. All right. All right, let's see if we get audio this time. Can you hear it?
I cannot.
All right. Dang it. Okay. Man, I really wanted that to work. Okay. Gonna have to abandon that idea. Let's just do it regular style. I'm gonna get dressed right here, and we'll do it. You won't get to watch the Dr. Funkenstein bit. You can go watch that on my show, audience. But yeah, let's do Gimme Gimme. So this is the part of the show where my guest and I switch into character, and we ask my audience for exactly what we want, because there's a lot of misconceptions about why LinkedIn exists. Some people think it's for friendship. Some people think, I don't know, it's just out here to give helpful advice. And really, we all know that the purpose of LinkedIn is self-promotion. So here we go. Hello, welcome to Gimme Gimme. It's me, Boss Bogue. Please welcome my esteemed guest, the mayor of Inbound. Mr. Mayor, welcome to Gimme Gimme.
Great to be here, Chris. Great to be here.
Well, why don't you go first? What would you like from my audience?
I'm not a man of many demands, but I would say that if you're thinking about purchasing HubSpot, it's a great choice, probably the best one you'll ever make. You need help onboarding or training, we got you. Rev Partners, my team, does a fantastic job as an elite tier solutions partner. Also, if you're thinking about RevOps as just marketing and sales alignment and a buzzword, we can teach you differently. It is actually the science of sustainable revenue growth, and we drive revenue here in Rankin County. This is a real, I don't know if you can see this, but this is really my license plate. Probably shouldn't be giving that out live. Anyway, we drive revenue. So follow Rev Partners. I'd like for you to follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, to see some of the crazy stuff I'm doing. And also, I'm going to ask for you to follow Boss Bogue and his wonderful video content. Purchase his course. Chris, I gave my Gimme Gimme to you.
Thank you very much. Follow Robert. Don't follow his car, even though you now have the data to allow you to do that. So Gimme Gimme, folks. You know what time it is. It's time for Q4. And I've been hearing a lot of complaints, people saying that inbound is dead, people saying that video doesn't work for sales. All I have to say to that is explain that to Dr. Funkenstein. That's right. If you follow my work, last week I put an infomercial out for my new course, The Complete Guide to Selling on Video. I went out there as Dr. Funkenstein, my dumbest character yet, and it's been bringing me inbounds all week because this stuff works, folks. short video drives revenue for your business. Whether that's short video on LinkedIn or TikTok or short videos with Vidyard and BombBomb being sent direct to your prospect, I got the skills and you don't. And I'm laughing all the way to the bank, okay? The good news is you still have time to get noticed by your prospects before the end of Q4. So don't delay. Go to chrisbogue.io and get your copy of my course, The Complete Guide to Selling on Video. It has everything you need to get your sales team sending fast, fun, effective videos that tend to get 60% response rates. That's insane. And your sales reps need to be making at least 5 videos in under an hour, or else you're just not going to do it. Robert, do you have anything more to add about video? It seems like we're just having all the fun, and LinkedIn is just sitting there all grouchy because their quarter is sucking, when really they should come to us because we can bring the delightful fun to them.
I know that the Rev Partners crew that's in this will really appreciate this, but Chris, I would say, and I know this is probably for the second half of this, but if you haven't started yet, it doesn't matter. Like StreamYard, Vidyard, BombBomb, whatever, Loom, the tool doesn't matter and the process doesn't matter up front. It's get in front of the camera, record content. It will suck, but you need to adopt the behavior first consistently. Then you figure out the process, and then you can adopt the tool. That's what RevOps is. I mean, that's tenet 1 of Matt Bolian's RevOps Manifesto. Shout out, Matt. I know you're an important call right now. He's not here, but I mean, that's what I feel like Chris can help you to do. 100%. Yeah,
you go out there as you, right? You know, have you ever seen that movie, The Sandlot? Mr. Mayor, The Sandlot.
Who has not seen Sandlot?
Okay, so you remember that scene. Smalls is trying to catch the baseball. He's not able to catch it. Benny the Jet Rodriguez comes over, and he says, you got to stop thinking. You know, if you were out there being Dr. Funkenstein, you would have caught that ball, you know? And I didn't understand what he meant at the time. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. You can't just go out there and beat Dr. Funkenstein and all of a sudden you win. But that's what happens, folks. You put some delightful content out there, things start happening. And if you don't have any for yourself, you have plenty of time to bring me in as a consultant or as a trainer. I can get you out there looking good, making videos that you're actually proud of, that you actually want people to watch, that are going to drive inbound leads to your business. So give me a call, shoot me a DM, go to chrisbogue.io and buy the course. Check out Rev Partners. This has been Gimme Gimme. All right.
Excellent.
So that's that segment.
What a great metaphor, drawing that back to Sandlot. I just want to give the Sandlot shout out.
Dude, I always loved that. Like, when I was a kid, I was like, you can't just have fun and it works. But yeah, actually, if you're having fun, people want to join in on what you're doing. And I feel that these sales teams, when they start panicking, the only thing they know how to do is increase the pressure, and that just makes them harder to approach. You know, they get more aggressive in what they're asking for. And I say you got to be more inviting. You know, you got to let people in. You got to make people want to be a part of what you're doing.
Yes, I mean, I feel like pressure and urgency naturally increases as processes within a sales process move along. So if you can send, it's not even just for outbound, and I'm sure that you would agree with that, a video follow-up that's a little bit fun and informal instead of only a bulleted recap or whatever, or a quote or whatever that is. If you can incorporate some elements not only into like the outbound prospecting or content creation, and you can choose to use video in a more creative way to, again, deformalize or make informal portions of the sales process, it's also massively impactful.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, and here's the thing that I don't know if my audience realizes about me. So I have an entirely video-based sales process where I just send super short videos out instead of making cold calls or cold emails. And I'm not funny in those. I'm not doing funny things. I'm not doing comedy. Those videos get me meetings. It's how I keep my business running. It's just me. I rely entirely on myself to do everything, the business, the content. But those videos are just me being myself for 30 seconds, being like, oh, hey, Robert, I see you're enjoying the funny comedy. I've been watching Rev Partners. Let me know if you want to chat sometime. And that's it, you know? Right. And going out there as yourself is so disarming. But people think they have to be this more formal version or this more professional version of themselves. So how do you go out there and shut that part of your brain off? How do you go do those silly things and not worry too much about what if this looks unprofessional?
the unprofessional part of it is almost irrelevant. I mean, once it's two different personas or however many. I know you have Boss Bogue, you've got Vageman, you've got all sorts of stuff, but whenever it's the attention part for me, as an outbound, I guess it depends on and how you're using the content. If it is just to create top of mindedness, again, a lot of the videos I have sourced and closed, I mean, pretty large deals, not from any like life altering or thought leadership or anything like that, but it's just been, oh, you know what, had this referral come up and I thought about you guys because of that Titanic video. Of all the things I could have ever been told, if you have not seen the Titanic video, like, there is nothing professional about it. I thought I was going to get kicked out of LinkedIn for portions of it.
Yeah, no, there's a topless scene. Yeah. And then there's the bad recorder version of My Heart Will Go On.
Yes.
And it's very stupid. And
thank you.
I mean that in the best way. I mean, I love that. And there's one thing about my comedy.
Well, I'm not going to do that on a sale. Like, I'm not going to do that on a discovery call with somebody I haven't met. But like, it's warm referral. So there's a contextual element to it also. Like, your cold video outreach or warmish video outreach, you're just being yourself. But there's also an element to keep Chris Bogue and that the video or the message they never responded to top of mind. Oh, I'll give them a follow, but it's not the right time to buy. They're seeing your content 5, 6, 7 days a week. So in that moment, they're like, the guy can obviously get on video and help sell. It creates you're creating a personal brand by doing that. So the character or the silliness or however you want to phrase it is contextual to like which call or which meeting or you know.
Yeah, no. And if anybody ever goes down the rabbit hole of my stuff, you will see that I very deliberately, I've got sketches out there. I dropped a horror movie on Monday that's like, I think actually a little bit psychologically terrifying.
That was one of the best things you did, and that's why I did the video that I did. I mean, it didn't, it was not to the level or involvement of the one that you put out, but I was like, you know what, it is Halloween. Let me try something different. And, so yeah. Even people watching like me are saying, I can't do that, but like, I can do something similar. So like, Chris, you're an inspiration. There's videos that I've made, namely that one where I'm just like, Chris Bogue is a madman. Let me try to see if I can get on that level.
Well, here's the thing though. My strategy is I put that stuff out consistently. And then I also put things out that are more thoughtful than that. I will put out like a post that's just like, here's how you add captions to your video, or, hey, you know what? Here's some things I noticed about green screens. I don't use a green screen, and here's why. And here's ways to like organize your projects. And those posts don't get out they don't get as far of a reach. But what I'm trying to do is like, I am putting thoughtful stuff out there that's going to appeal to the people that I'm trying to sell to. And these big, funny comedy pieces get me into a greater number of news feeds. So it's like, it's growing my audience. I'm being seen by more people. And when I make those smaller posts that aren't going to go viral, I've got a much better chance of actually getting someone who might convert. And Nicholas Thickett and Morgan Smith, I don't know if you know them, they're at Aligned, they run the B2B Power Hour. They have been studying these trends on LinkedIn and social selling, and they are finding that the most likely posts to inbound are the smaller, less popular posts that don't go crazy viral. But if you don't have a way to get out there and keep growing your audience, it's hard to get in front of the right people.
So, and again, this is not from a study, and this is not anything that I've really seriously considered, but the way that you phrase that, I think there's 3 elements for like, is this impacting audience? There's reach, which, for me, that's the more funny, the skits, the Titanic, all of that stuff. There's reach, and the comedy ones can grow that, because there might be like a ha that was funny, but there's no leads or deals or anything created from that typically. Then there's resonance, which are your less funny, less comedic. Oh, holy crap, I didn't think about not using a green screen, or I didn't think about this, or you're teaching something. The one thing that you can't really control is timing. Like, I don't know when, without an extensive amount of research that I'm not doing on all of these accounts or targets, I don't know when the timing is right for them. But if I'm consistently posting stuff, then the reach and resonance are eventually going to line up, and they will reach out. So it might be the 5 like video that actually gets you a meeting with somebody that turns into revenue, which I think you've approached that pretty wonderfully. I'm almost exclusively like ridiculous, silly bullshit, but I mean that's just kind of what I'm doing.
Well, here I'm gonna try one. No, this is gonna be a slightly different one. I'm gonna try to see if this works. I'm gonna try one more clip just because I want the audience to see like what I'm going for here. So I'm gonna play this again. Tell me if there's no sound, audience. But I'm just gonna play one more infomercial just so I have something to refer to here because I am trying to make a serious point with all this ridiculousness. So let's just check out one of my infomercials.
Hello?
Is this Mr. Sherber?
It sure is. What can I help you with, brother?
Hello. You were not expecting this call. Do you have 17 seconds to learn
Hang on a
about
second.
mercifully short?
Is this a cold call?
I don't know.
You. Never call this number again.
Oh no! Another unsuccessful cold call. You probably don't have time to fuck off.
I got a quota to hit.
Are you spending hours every week cold calling and cold emailing but not seeing results?
There's gotta be a better way.
Introducing the complete guide to selling on video. Whether you're new to sales or a President's Club member, this fast and fun course will teach you to efficiently create short, customized videos that get results. The complete guide to selling on video is not sold in stores. Visit chrisbogue.io and use promo code GIMMEGIMME to take $50 off while supplies last. Don't delay. Get noticed today.
I cannot tell you how fantastic that was, and I didn't think I was going to be able to recover whenever you brought me back into the stream, but oh my God, dude, that is so funny.
Yeah, well, again, though, that is me explaining to the audience what I sell, what problems it fixes, what benefits they'll get, how much it costs, and where they can go buy it. And if I sat there in front, if I just pulled out my camera and was like, it costs this much, it does that, nobody would watch it. But all I did was just change the context. You know, I deliver that information in just I put them in the middle of the scene. And that's what I always try to do. That's what I always did in my comedy shows. It starts in the middle of a cold call. You think it's going to go well. It immediately turns for the worst. It's over. You're never going to call the guy again. You know, all of a sudden you're in this really emotional moment. And then it turns into an infomercial. Then you're like, oh man, now you hear the oh no. And
the squeaky fart sound effect is I have a proclivity to that. So excellently done.
It's but again, these are just funny things that the audience recognizes. And this is why I get on board whenever I see you doing the mayor, whenever I see, Will Aitken out there doing comedy. There's a whole growing group of people on LinkedIn who are finding new fun ways to go out there and showcase what their company does. And I really think that's the future. That's only going to get more popular. More brands are going to start doing that because it just works. It's so much more efficient than having SDRs. Like, again, you saw that infomercial. Every time I release an infomercial, I typically get like 3 to 5 inbounds, within a day or two. Like, that's huge for me. That's a virtual salesperson who can sell my company when I'm not around. I'm off on the weekend doing things. These videos are getting replays and leading to inbounds. That's crazy.
And I don't know if this is a good or bad point, but I'll mention it anyway, and then I'll kind of talk through the thought process. At no time in that video, and I'm probably different than other people, my sense of humor is different, but at no time, even seeing the infomercial, did I feel like I was being sold to. So there was no press, like I did not click off or like I watched through the whole way. So the view rate or like how much of the video I watch is 100% instead of I'm here as, like you mentioned doing it at first, being more serious. I didn't feel sold to. So I don't know if that's good that I didn't. And it's also now top of mind or bad that I didn't think I was being sold to because it's a legitimate product. And so when I say something like, again, the whole timing component comes up. If I say name an insurance provider, you're probably going to say, like the big ones, Progressive, State Farm, all those that have built a brand. If you can build a brand, and they all do it through comedy as well, those are the ones that resonate more with me. You don't want to see the actual horrible, legitimate info. the reason that that's funny is because that's a legitimate infomercial where it's like,
Yeah.
but
Well,
wait, there's more. If you order right now, we can, that's all ridiculous. I'm never going to buy whatever that is because of how it's presented. With you, I would buy because of how it's presented.
Well, so the thing that I'm noticing, and I'm going to make more of these infomercials because they're
Please
great.
do.
They have this way. I have found that they are simultaneously very strange. The things that people say are very strange, but also very familiar. They talk in this way that people don't talk, and it's much more direct. And like, there's one I'm gonna parody, and the infomercial was, it's like they're selling a CD of like punk rock hits. It's an actor with like a shitty fake mohawk or something,
Right.
and he looks at the camera and he goes, "You know what makes me mad? When I buy a punk rock CD and it doesn't have good punk rock bands on it." And I'm like, that is such a great first line of an ad, is you just look at the straight camera and go, "You know what makes me mad? When this thing happens and it gets me upset."
I'll take that as a challenge to do one of those with you. It'll be in a different, obviously, HubSpot, RevOps type of situation, but I'll accept the challenge to do an infomercial of the same thing.
I've already started seeing my feed doing the infomercial thing, and it's just like, you're welcome, gang. You're welcome, because it's like, it's a gold mine. And actually, you're going to see I'm doing with my course now, when people buy the course, they're submitting testimonials. And anybody who submits a testimonial, I'm going to be incorporating them into future infomercials. So they're going to have a real customer, or it's going to say not a paid actor.
Yeah.
And they're going to get a comedy line. But I'm actually building this brand. So yeah, if you take part in it, you get to become part of the comedy too. And
That is very much I don't know if I'm aging myself here, or the fact that I have an 8-year-old daughter, but that's a very Mr. Beast play. Like, the subscribers get to come do challenges and participate, which resonates a lot more. So that's fantastic. I wanted to mention, though, because of the infomercial, this is what struck me, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if you knew exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a radio infomercial and a stand-up bit from like the late 80s, early 90s from Richard Jenney about a law firm called Bernard Shapiro. And it's real. I mean, it's just mindlessly stupid. But he asks a couple questions and says, like, "My services may be a fit for you. Are you between the ages of 3 and 105? Have you ever used a consumer product? Have you ever been outside your home? You're entitled to millions of dollars." So that sort of thing, like, that is my exact type of, like, what resonates with me the most. I would almost tell you to do nothing but infomercials for like a full month. That way you have a library stockpile full of that stuff.
No, and this is what I do, is like, so I've got this thing where it's like, I've been doing Halloween surprises. And if you folks think the stuff that I did earlier this week was crazy, wait till you see the shit I'm going to pull tomorrow, right? I'm going to blow your minds out.
Is it number 3 or 4 coming out?
It's going to be, well, this is surprise number 3. I should have made a post about it. Whatever, I guess surprise number 3 will be tomorrow. But on Monday, I've got an even bigger surprise. And I'm numbering them. So if Monday's post is a big hit, people can go back and check out the whole previous week of Halloween surprises. And I've also got testimonial footage that I've released this past week of people who've taken the course and are explaining the actual results that they got. And this is my way of, I call it like, wrapping the medicine up in a piece of lunch meat and giving it to your dog. If I got to sell myself as a business here, yeah, I'm going to have other delightful content around there that you can check out. And, maybe not everybody is going to be right for my course,
Right.
But if they're down there and they're checking out the entertainment and they like it, they're going to be more open to my stuff than they otherwise would be. And I guess that's my challenge to content creators out there, is like, are you really thinking about that audience first and thinking about how can I put this in a format that they will enjoy, or that they'll appreciate, that they'll learn from,
It's not even appreciate. Like, I assume that you would want measurable results, and that the people purchasing your course would also want to be able to put that into some sort of empirical value. What you're doing, and I mean, shit, I'm still wearing the orange suit here, but it's just so relative. Like, the community aspect, which I've already kind of given you praise for, but it's the HubSpot model. It's all the inbound model. It's you attract, so it's what you're doing with the videos and the reach and resonance. You engage, which is what you're doing, but then you delight. And the goal there is the delight portion creates a growth loop to create evangelists for your brand and your company to send people back to you indefinitely. So
Yeah.
as long as you're delivering something that provides value, the people who have gone through the course and are like, oh my God, like you had the video that you posted the other day. That's their model. I feel like, and you mentioned like wrapping the medicine in the dog treat. My dog needs medicine. I just throw it at him.
Yeah, the little
My wife
peanut
puts it in.
butter.
Yeah, but that's what we're doing here, is to try to create evangelists from the product, and that can be done in any number of ways. The way that you're doing it is really smart. Like, hey, if you liked it, you can appear in a video or whatever that is. The reviews portion, like every company does that. It's just, do they actually deliver on what they say they're going to do? Do they add value? And from that, the goal isn't to just create, an experience one time, but it's to get people to become evangelists of your product, service, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I think there's also this method of like, you have to show that you understand their problems. And what I'm trying to do, like, you watch that infomercial, and I'm not coming out and spelling it out to the audience, but when I'm waiting on the phone there, and he gives me the okay to pitch him, and I go, you are not expecting this call. Do you have 17 seconds to learn about, like, that exact script is what sales leaders on LinkedIn are teaching their teams,
I just got an idea for you, by the way. You could almost spell it out and use that as a bit and do the whole, LOVE, the love song, whatever, and just spell out video. I didn't know you were musical, but you could make that into some funny shit and literally spell it out for everyone watching the bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is why I love the infomercials, is there's so many different formats. The video, unfortunately, that I couldn't play here earlier, I was trying to play my Dr. Funkenstein infomercial because it's this style of ad where it's just a person in a lab coat speaking authoritatively, and then a heightened, very confused person being like, what if I have this problem? I'm experiencing this. I want to learn more, and like, again, it's this weird thing where I'm like, oh, this is so entertaining. But like, it's all designed to give you the information you're looking for, where I feel a lot of these sales teams, you were talking about the HubSpot model of how to get people inbound, how to get them delighted, how to get them, on the flywheel, as they say. Right. That's just not, there's this whole other method of sales where it says, no, you got to be really aggressive. You got to push your way in, and you've also got to be evasive. You got to withhold the information from them until they agree to come to your meeting or something, and then you're going to give them the details. It's like you're always withholding from them. Where I have learned, no, you put valuable stuff out there and you watch for who's appreciating it. And those are the people who might be willing to pay for like the full package,
The buyer is more educated now than ever before. There's all sorts of stuff out there. Chris Walker, Matt, again, I mentioned him. They have such good data on how attribution models are just totally bogus. And the buyer's journey, not the seller's motion, is what drives revenue now. So like, I might see your course and I might jump into one of these LinkedIn lives or just kind of lurk for 6 months and then find out, holy shit, now I actually do need to learn how to sell on video or whatever it might be. And then go to your site, fill out a form, bam. But it wasn't because of your site. It wasn't because of paid ads or paid search or whatever. It was because I've been lurking and educating and asking hey, have you used Chris Bogue's book? There's no attribution model for that. So all of this stuff like this is educating for free until they're ready. And again, I think the biggest component of that's timing. But you're doing what you should be doing, which is being ridiculous and providing value without asking for anything in return. That's the key component.
Yeah, I'm always looking for who's taking notice. And this is how a lot of my best clients have come from. This is how I get meetings on the calendar, is like, I'm always connecting with people who I think will either appreciate the content or who could benefit from the training. I'm
right.
Connecting with both of them. I'm supporting them. I'm leaving comments. I'm appreciating their stuff whenever they make something I enjoy. And if I see someone and they keep clicking the like button, they keep showing up to events, they keep commenting, and they fit my, ideal customer profile, that's when I will reach out to them. Usually I'll send a 30-second video and just be like, hey, I see you're clicking the like button. I appreciate that. Maybe you want to get a little deeper into video. If you're interested in potentially bringing me into your company, let's talk.
So again, I did that today. It wasn't with this is somebody further along in the sales process, but instead of just like hounding them with meeting requests and whatever, The subject line was like, no meeting equals scary and a ghost emoji. And I was like, not having a meeting before the end of the month terrifies me. Kind of like this video I made. Hope you enjoy it. Let's talk next week or whatever. So I mean, like, there's different ways to contextually use video, whether it be a direct message to them or something that you've already done to try to drive home, like to try to drive deals in my case forward. And it's less pressure. I mean, think about how you'd respond. I think about that all the time. If I see a call from a number that I don't know, because I'm a salesperson, I'll pick it up sometime. I mean, it depends on the context. But if they don't automatically say, I hang up, I'm not, that will never work to get me to buy anything. So if whoever's in the comments, whoever's watching this, like if you're trying to sell me something, a cold call ain't going to do it. Neither is a text, neither is like a generic pitch slap or whatnot. But the things I respond to better are exactly what several people have done. Like, love the orange suited inbound, man. I really like, and almost like some people have almost opened up about that. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. Would like to hear I'm probably going to respond to that and like give some of my time to engage and interact with those people because they're not being aggressive or pressuring or directly asking for, you don't have 30 minutes next Tuesday at 4. No, I don't have 30 minutes any Tuesday at whatever time. I just, you're not paying attention to me. I think another part of the attention economy is that we want the attention on us. So it's not just like what you're paying attention to, but people like being paid attention to. So if you're not personalizing, if you're not being short and direct, then that turns people off. I speak just for myself, but I think some of the I don't know which data points. I'm sure there's data out there that would back up that claim that the buyer's journey is moving from what it used to be, which is responding to cold calls, to educating themselves first and then raising a hand. Period. I mean, like that's just.
Well, and again, this is why I disagree with a lot of the training out there, specifically around video in sales, because a lot of these tools are designed to make it very easy for you to show your screen and do a virtual product demo. And a lot of people send that out as their first touch point. It's like a 5-minute walkthrough of their product, and it doesn't work. It gets 5% watched, and then that person starts avoiding them. And I tell them, I'm like, if I am sending out a video to a prospect, not only is it shorter than 1 minute, but it's a video about them.
Yep.
And their values and their goals. I'm not saying me. I'm saying, hey, I noticed you. I noticed this is your goal. I noticed this is what your team is saying. I noticed this event is coming up. And this is what I do with people. I help them get on video. I help them produce videos more efficiently that actually drive results. So let me know if you want to have a conversation about that. Respond to this message with anything if you'd like to chat with me. And it's like, I'm not going through and actually showing them every feature on what I offer.
Right.
I'm talking about them, about the things I notice about them, about the alignment that we have. And then I'm saying, hey, if you want to meet with me, let me know. And also let me know if you don't. And I won't reach out to you like this. I'll just appreciate your content and I'll enjoy having you in my network, but like, thanks for watching the video. And they watch 100% of it, because they don't have to sit through 5 minutes of product descriptions.
Right.
They're going to think about what I said. Does this guy seem like he's relevant to my problems right now? And even
You're
if the answer's
solving
no,
for the customer. I mean, again, like Nick LaFakis was in here earlier, and he'll give me the hand clap if he's still in the comments. But you're solving for them. This is an odd example. I feel like most people have heard of this. I hadn't, just because I'm newer into the B2B world than probably most people watching. But Gated is an email tool that just like charges you for an email to be delivered. It's fantastic. I don't have it yet. I probably need it. But if you were doing something for them, be like, do you absolutely hate getting your inbox full of just dog shit? We've got a product for you. And some of the pain points are more universal also. So the timing is more irrelevant. But like, I would wager that most people hate those prospecting emails. I've seen it all over LinkedIn. But if something came through like that was 20 seconds that could speak assumptively about a problem or pain point you had, I would watch it and I would probably respond to it because it's solving for me, not our product has been like, go brag somewhere else. Like I don't care about your product. I care about my product.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's the thing is I say it's about them because I know these sellers you go and they go, do you want to see how to make $50,000 extra a month by doing this proven method that'll, like multiply your results by X amount, and that's worked for thousands of CEOs. And I'm like, the person who's watching the video is always thinking to themselves, okay, but I'm different.
Yep.
Maybe you've helped 200 other companies do this. Well, my company's different. You don't get it. You don't get it, you know? And unless you show specific interest in them, they're not gonna believe it. And I find that people have this side when you go in there super assumptively being like, oh yeah, of course, I did this for 2,000 other people. Of course I can do this for you. They start hiding from you. And that's why people get ghosted. That's why people don't get responses. Where I have this style where it's very open, it's very direct, it's very much about them. And so even if somebody doesn't want to hire me, they almost always respond back being like, you know what? I appreciate this. This isn't a great fit right now, but thanks for reaching out. And I respect that, you know, but I don't care whether they say yes or no. That's just data to me. Do they think I can help or do they not? If they think I can help, then we get the meeting and the relationship progresses. If not, I'm not going to keep just relentlessly going after them unless I have a different offering or there's some change in circumstances that signals that maybe they're ready now. But it's like, it's a way to open the conversation, I've found.
Everything that you just said, and this, you know, don't pay attention to this if you don't want to, but it's like, I liken it to a first date. Any outbound, any non-warm, like even if it's warm, if we're on a first date and I'm like, hey, I'm Rob, you know, tell me about yourself, and you talk about yourself, and I cut you off and say like, well, I've been with this many, I've done this, I've graduated from this. You're gonna
tell you about all
these
these other girlfriends I
You're
had,
gonna
all
walk
my
the
wonderful
hell out.
girlfriends.
And then, so if that happens and I talk about myself and interrupt you or don't care about you, and I keep calling you, and I'm a stalker. So like the relationships up front that you would value or want to pursue further the most are the ones geared towards the other person. And that's what you just said. But if you want to, aside from all the tips and tricks from all the, you know, the people on LinkedIn, if you just think of those first interactions before and up to a meeting about solving for them and listening to them and their story and their pain point, I think that just doing that, not worrying about email length or like when you should send any of that, just focusing on them first, I think you'll get markedly better results immediately if you're not doing that already.
Well, yeah, and to use your dating analogy, you know, one thing that I always told people, like back when I was like using the dating websites as a younger man, you know, I would have friends, and I think I give good dating advice. And one piece of dating advice I always told my friends was if you're on a date with a woman and it's the first time meeting her and she is either exceptionally short or exceptionally tall, do not mention the shortness or tallness as the first thing you say. Notice anything else about her. Notice her hair, notice her smile, do not talk about the height as the first thing out of your mouth, because that's what every single person she meets every day says is, wow, you're so tall, or wow, you're so short. And I believe that's the same thing with companies, and that's why I go after goals or values, because it's like so often it's like people be like, oh, I saw you just raised a round of funding, you know, and
right.
Like that is why you're reaching out. But you might as well just say, well, I've noticed you've got money. You know, why don't you give it to me?
I was going to say translation, spend it here. I mean, you're so spot on with that. What you're doing there is not allowing them to respond with their pain points and pointing them out with the height, you know, with the height metaphor. But even that is like talk about and compliment them. Like you're saying exactly what I was. You don't talk about yourself. My wife is in the chat and said sending a pizza works too. So that's...
I mean, it would definitely work for me. My whole thing though is try noticing people the way they want to be noticed, you know, and sales and marketing, they don't get along. Sales teams and marketing teams don't know what each other's doing. But if you're selling, remember that marketing exists to be noticed. Companies spend a lot of money on marketing, and that's how that company wants to be perceived. You know,
right.
If I see they are putting effort into making their marketing fun, and I reach out and I'm like, hey, I've been following your content team for months. You guys are hilarious. that instantly gets me on their level, you know. Or maybe they're focusing on some goal. They're a very values driven company. You know, I was selling education technology back when I was a sales rep. It was not funny. I was not doing comedy, but I was coming to these professors and I was coming to these universities and I say, hey, I want to talk to you about critical thinking. Because I know that you wrote a paper on this. You know, I know this is something you've worked on. I know this is something that's important to you. Let me know if you'd be open to a chat about hearing what I've been doing with Dr. So-and-so down the hall. Because we're working on something together. And, you know, I'm getting in on what they care about. But I'm like, that person published, you know, a peer-reviewed study on this thing. Of course they want to be noticed for that, you know? So that's what I'm going to notice first. I'm not going to start telling them, oh, my solution's going to save you, you know, it's going to save you money and you'll have so much time to save on. It's like, we'll get there. We'll get there. They're going to have to reveal that problem to me first. I want to go in there noticing them for the thing they wanted to be noticed for.
1,000,000%. That takes more time. It takes a little more research. But that, I mean, you mentioned sales and marketing don't always align. There's other components to that with what we do at Rev Partners with RevOps, but it's moving those needles. Like how do you pull levers? So whether it corresponds to, and it's all data native. Like you can't improve processes if they're not in place or they're not iterated upon. So if you are sending 1,000, you know, cold emails and getting one person to book, and it takes you X amount of time, if you're spending the same amount of time to send 20 videos that are more research and personal, and you get I mean, that's obviously the better choice. I think people at this point, with all of the new platforms and tech and whatnot, they just want to automate their way out of doing the work, which that's not the way to go about it. You need to iterate on processes that can automate later on, but there is a massive need. I see this all the time with what I do, to be personal and be responsive. And that includes outbound, includes things already within the sales process, like a recap or whatnot. But you can't automate your way out of like actually doing shit and caring. And again, the whole point is solving for them. So what it took you 20 minutes to like read their paper, that's going to go more than telling them how much money you can save them would ever go.
Yeah. And again, it's like, do they believe you? Do they believe you? You know, people believe you when you're interested in them. There's that Maya Angelou quote. People won't remember what you say, but they'll remember the way that you made them feel. And if the last time a person talked to a sales rep, that salesperson made them feel pressured, that is what they will always remember. Every time your number pops up, every time they see your name in the inbox, they're thinking, this person's going to pressure me. I might get into a situation where I don't want to do something and this person's not going to understand. They're going to push me further than I want to go. That's when you start getting ghosted, you know? Whereas if you're focusing on just like, again, speaking to their problems, you know, bringing a little bit of delightfulness in there, talking about the subject that's important to them, you know, that's much safer for them. And again, I kind of live in this world between content marketing and sales. But I say, you know, if you're getting a lot of objections and they're killing your deals, go handle them in your content. Go solve them in the content. Go make a video about the problem you solve. Go find a fun way to show actually the impact you have on there. And now when your prospects watch that, they're not sitting there defensive, worrying about the way how you're going to try to outsmart them into closing a deal. They're going to listen to your words and they're going to agree with it or disagree with it, but they at least can do it on their own time, where they can sit there and they don't have to explain themselves, you know? And it's like, that's such an opportunity to educate and to move a deal along and to further a relationship. And I find most sellers out there just aren't, because they don't know how to get started.
I mean, there's some really good best practices for that I agree with. The Nick Cegelski 25 minutes to President's Club has, I mean, that's more geared towards I don't know if it's traditional or not, but I'd say the more outbound, like calling approach, and some really good stuff you can do there. So
he's great. I love Nick.
Yeah, fantastic. Like the whole call one, they mentioned a reason why it wasn't a good time. Record that or quote it down, and then whenever you make a second call, they're more likely to engage because you're going to use those exact words. There's some psychology behind that, obviously. He does a fantastic job of putting that into the works. But to your point about, you know, like address objections and concerns and things like they might have felt pressured in the past with a seller, or there might be some problem. I feel like comedy and some of what we do, especially some of what I do, is like there's an attention economy portion, but we also live in like a hyperbole economy. So a lot of the stuff that with the Titanic and with all this stuff, it's so fantastical that you leave. I would hope that you left or stopped watching feeling like it's not that bad, but there's definitely a problem there. So it's almost like reverse engineering pointing out what the problem is. Again, a lot of the stuff I do is don't pay the Salesforce tax, switch to HubSpot, all that, because I am an evangelist and I do value that. But the way in which I deliver the message is just over the top. And some of that, yeah. Go ahead.
I want to actually say, though, I don't want the audience to think that that's the only thing you have to do, because you and I are silly men and we have figured out how to lean into that, But I always say, if you're a person who's more introverted, maybe you're a person who's more of an educator, or you're a really good listener. If you go out on camera and you're just like, I'm kind of a shy person, and here's something I've noticed, and you share
Right.
your experience about being a shy person, or you're kind of a sarcastic person, or, whatever it is, it's like, if you go out there and own that, it's powerful. And, one of my guests on the show who I had last season, Lydia Allen, she's a teacher who teaches, dyslexic people, and she teaches families how to deal with, their schools and how.
I watched that live.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's not a comedian. She's a fun person, but she goes out there on TikTok and she gets 1.4 million views on average,
Right.
and she's not going over the top. She is looking straight at the camera and talking about what it feels like to be a dyslexic student and how frustrating that can be, and like different things you can do to help a student like that succeed, and she doesn't
It's
have
stories.
to create a different, it's stories, and it's how you connect.
Dharmesh said that he's the CTO and founder of HubSpot, but he said that if on his YouTube channel, he said if he could tell people to learn one skill now, and I thought it'd be like coding. I think he did even mention that as like a close second, but he said storytelling. Everything's about storytelling. Josh Braun, yesterday I watched or read something that he put out there that storytelling resonates more with people than anything else. And whether it's your story or listening to theirs, those are the two most emotionally impactful, which draw logic and like action from that. Kyle, I'm name dropping so many people that have influenced me to even be on this show with you. But Kyle Jepson yesterday, who's the HubSpot professor guy, he's fantastic. I knew I was going to be on this, and I know that I, for whatever reason, tend to get anxiety speaking in front of people. So I have right here behind the camera, I have a picture of my family so that whenever I have to look into the camera, I'm actually looking above it, and I feel more comfortable talking to my daughter. So like those little tips and tricks you can apply. Again, like some of the story thing that you're talking about with Lydia, it's 100% accurate, and people resonate more with that than stories about yourself or about like facts and data. They'll get to that. You mentioned that earlier. Like we'll get into that later.
Yeah, no, I want to. So we're like at our time here. I want to touch on one last thing, because I'm glad you shared that about putting your family up behind the camera, and I just want to let the audience know. You see Robert and I out here having all this fun. We get insecure and self-conscious and full of self-doubt, just like everybody else. And literally every single time I publish a new sketch, I think, this is going to be the one that bombs. This is going to be the one. What if I put all this work into it and nobody likes this?
I think the same thing. I think it happens more often for me. That was the crazy part about, again, I kind of told part of my story a while back in a post, and I'll give the TLDR version of this. Very first video I posted was like, it went viral. And I saw something recently, like you can't create a viral video on purpose. People have to like appreciate and resonate with it. And I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, oh, that's cool. That seems pretty normal. No, it didn't happen again for months. So I was consistently putting stuff out there that just like flopped. It was so defeating to know that I'd had success that I didn't understand. I'd had engagement or reach that I didn't understand. And then to consistently work and like, oh, this is going to be great. And it just not hit with anybody. If you're feeling like that as you're trying to get into content, my message would be like, it's okay. It happens to everybody. It happens to Chris, happens to me. Twice a week, most weeks, but just keep putting it out there.
Yeah, nobody invited us to do this. I was certainly not invited to go do this on LinkedIn. I just turned on the camera one day and started talking. And that's everybody starts at the same place. So Robert, one more time, do you want to give our audience where they can go find you if they want to go connect with you after the show?
Robert Jones on LinkedIn. I post stuff a pretty good bit. I would go follow Chris. I know everybody here is following Chris Bogue. They've hit the little give the bell sound. That was well timed, man. But yeah, I would also follow Rev Partners if you're interested in HubSpot, RevOps, revenue as a managed service, anything like that, and you're looking for some great thought leadership and content. Follow me in Rev Partners.
Excellent. I am Chris Bogue. You can find me on LinkedIn. Ring the bell. Find me at Chris Sells His Soul on TikTok. Get the course at chrisbogue.io. Robert, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Chris. Have a wonderful rest of your day. You
too. And you know what? Just to see how it goes, I'm going to run one more advertisement because whatever. Bye-bye, everybody. We're going to get started here filming our prospecting videos in just one moment. I'm a little bit peckish, so I'm just going to help myself to a little bit of lunch. Oh, why?
The goal is very simple. It's to get your first batch of 25 sales videos written, edited, captioned, and sent out to your prospects via Gmail and LinkedIn.
We're going to start by teaching you some of the basics on camera. Then we're going to go through script writing and develop a list for you. We're going to go through some sales strategy. And then we're actually going to batch the footage and upload it and caption it and send it out.
It's 2.5 hours total, so it's about the length of a Marvel movie. If you hate cold calling and cold emailing and you're a person who does much better in front of an audience, then this style of selling is probably for you. Don't worry if you buy the class and never finish it.
You're fired.
Radical. See you next module.